regimes like to choose out groups and blame them. And I think that's a real powder keg. So how they navigate that, which is another reason why I talk about government getting bigger, because there are going to be social programs and things to bail those people out. Yes, with glasses.
Well, and I was wondering about how we take advantage of this great opportunity we have right in front of us to act locally. And we have a Minneapolis City Council member who would like us to do all this community outreach and education about these big decisions the city will make about energy in the next couple of months. But then she said, connecting it to the transition town discussion and the peak oil conversation, and an elected official saying that, let's strike that while the iron is hot. Now, what do we do?
Yeah, you should do that. If I can help, let me know. I mean, I really, you know, when I first learned about this stuff, I started my PhD in 2005. I looked everywhere. Where do I want to live? And I could have lived, my other choices were New Zealand or west coast of Oregon or Vermont, and I chose to live here. Of course, I met this girl on Match.com, and she lives here. But that is, I mean, that's why I was here to begin with. So, way in the back, yes.
Do you ever address population control in your talks?
In my talks, no. But
Yeah.
since you asked, I will address it. The question is, do I ever address population? We have too many people. I think everyone knows that. But it's politically incorrect, and there are no viable solutions to that. I think if we stopped having children totally, that by the year 2100 we would be at like, well, no, if we stopped having children, we would have no one. No, but I think if everyone had one child, the population declines relatively quickly. I actually personally think more important than the population is our consumption. And more important than our consumption is the message we're sending to others about our consumption. So we could have 7 billion people alive for a while with reasonably good standards. But what we can't have is all the Chinese aspiring to live American lifestyles. We need 3 planet Earths. Now, I've never said this publicly, but since you asked, maybe in the future, everyone got, I'm not advocating this, but I think it's something to think about. When you're 13 years old, you had a reversible sterilization surgery, and then you go through life, and when you prove that you have no aggressive, violent bone in your body, and do some pro-social things, you get the license to have a child. Yeah.
I'd like to make a point and then ask a quick question. And I think it's implicit in your presentation here and to one of the questions here, what can I do as an individual in Minnesota? And to me, it's, you vote, you put political pressure on, but the most important thing you do every day is how you spend your money. Who do you give your money to? And I think that's implied, but I think you got to really think about where you're spending your money, who you're supporting.
Absolutely. And we need to redo that globalization slide I showed. That needs to go back so that the suppliers of some great food and beer in Minneapolis are North Dakota and Manitoba and Wisconsin, something like that.
Yeah.
And concentric circles of supply chains and all that thinking. It's an enormous undertaking, but I think it can be done and should be done.
Yeah, people complain, I can only find a job at Walmart, I can only, or McDonald's. Well, where'd you eat today? Where'd you buy that shirt? We gotta support each other locally.
And did you pay cash?
Fully agree with that, with the one caveat that doing things locally by definition is going to be more expensive because we've outsourced with this cheap oil to Jakarta and the Philippines, and so, but that's okay. I would rather buy stuff that helps the local economy and lasts at double the price than sending it away somewhere else, et cetera. So I fully agree with you.
Thank you. Quick question. About a week ago, Hank Paulson wrote an op-ed piece that appeared in the
Yeah.
Star Tribune. It made an economic right-wing argument against climate change. What do you think of that?
Against climate change?
He was arguing an economic point that we need to address this, basically.
We need to address climate change.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, he's starting to see the light. I mean, I think, I know this is still being recorded, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's great. I think the more people like that are elites that speak the truth, that's what needs to happen on the Republican and the Democrat side. You know, Jeremy Grantham is a billionaire philanthropist who's very worried about climate change. More people you get like that, they kind of, the Koch brothers get, you know, scrunched down a little bit in stature. Yes, sir.
Thanks. My name's Scott. I'm really glad that you made it. And I'm very glad that you said what you did about efficiency, renewables, and divestment. Thank you for that. I'm very intrigued about what intermittency you're willing to live with. It reminded me of Jim Hansen, arguably the best climate scientist ever, said last fall, it was a warning that, say, Minnesota or all of the U.S. actually went 100% renewable, the price of coal goes down, or, you know, let's see, if we suddenly stop using coal, the price of coal goes down, demand actually jumps everywhere else in the world, and likely the use of coal goes up, the burning of coal goes up. My question is, I wonder what you think of Hansen's advocacy for many years now in breeder reactors, nuclear reactors.
I knew that was coming. Well, I met him. He came to my People on the Environment conference in 2006. I think at that time their projections of burnable fossil carbon was a little aggressive. I don't know. I think it depends what we want. Depends what our objective is. But nuclear is maybe the best thing we got if we want to go well into the future. And they're looking at thorium, and I'm not an expert on those things. Pretty scary what happened in Fukushima. Pretty scary if there was a financial collapse or something, and we have 350 of those suckers go without diesel fuel being. I mean, that's scary. But so is, you know, the alternative. So I don't know enough about it, but I'm neutral to open to nuclear if you're asking my position.
All right. Thanks.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Nate. This is great. I feel sick.
Sorry about that.
So, two questions basically. One, driving over here, I was listening to NPR and there's Hagens, talking about the market. And I'm curious as to what you think about the media and what we can do to help shape the media. So that's one. And then the second question is, can you recruit some of your brothers from Solomon to come over to the other side? So what are you talking to your brothers? Are you?
Okay, so that's two questions. I think the media is vitally important. In times of historic crisis, people needed something to latch on to that was truthful, et cetera. And our media has changed dramatically in the last 30 or 40 years. From Walter Cronkite, everyone gathered around on Sunday nights, and now it's just fluff and Honey Boo Boo did this and all this stuff. So how to change it? Well, like you said, it's the money. I mean, it's the money. So I think actually RT. Oh, here's one thing. Oh, you know, I was going to put this on I got rid of my television in 2000. So I've been 14 years now without a TV. Would never change that. That was one of the best things I ever did. But I do use the internet, and I'm addicted to the internet. But RT, I'm hearing, is quite a good news feed. Russian, whatever it stands for. RT and Al Jazeera are less biased than, Yeah, as to my brothers, I had about 20 very close friends on Wall Street, and 10 of them no